For this demonstration or tutorial, we'll be showing you how to import MIDI music files, and also how to take those files then, or the contents of those imported files, and to edit them into a format so that they are compatible with Cynthia's song file structure. So you'll be able to play them back as you would any other ordinary Cynthia song type file. And thirdly, we'll also demonstrate a little bit of the capabilities of Cynthia in order to actually change and modify MIDI events and affect the song files. So we will cover that a little bit for you as well. Let's begin by bringing up Cynthia. And what we'll want to do is import a song file. Now, I have one stored away. It's a Navy hymn. And to get to the import function, you go to the utilities of Cynthia's main screen and call up the song file maintenance main screen. And as you see when this screen comes up, there are a number of features that you can do with the file maintenance utility. And they include music book maintenance and MIDI file import, which we'll be doing. We can create new music books with this utility. We could merge music databases with this utility. And we could also import song numbers so that hymn numbers, where song numbers change in them, could be updated with the proper song number. So we will be doing this function right here, which is the MIDI import, file import. So in order to follow this, what we do is to get instructions on the little green screen, and it says browse to MIDI song, press continue. Well, the file that the MIDI song is located on is it's on a RAM device, and it's on the E drive of a flash device, and it's called MIDI hymn.mid or Navy hymn.mid. And so this is the one we'll want to import. Now, before we can import it, though, we need to hit the continue button down here, which acknowledges that we have looked at and agreed with all copyright laws and conditions. So I'll hit the continue there. And then, since I've selected the song I want, I'll hit continue there. And next question it'll ask me is where to store this MIDI file. And what Cynthia does is it stores the data for this MIDI file into an area as if it was just recorded into Cynthia using a keyboard, an organ or a piano. And Cynthia allows for 20 different songs to be recorded, arrangements to be recorded. And so it wants to know into which one of those temporary work areas to put the recorded music, where to put it. So I'm going to put it in area number 2. And this will be used then when we go to edit this recording. So we'll go number 2. And MIDI song file is imported. It's very, very fast. And you can also see down the bottom of the screen the MIDI events that had happened and some of the information that came off of the MIDI file. It usually doesn't have much interest to us in what we're doing, but it's just there for your information. So anyway, this is all here now, and so we will exit importing the MIDI music file. So the next thing to do, of course, in order to use that music, we'll have to edit it and catalog it and save it in the Cynthia's music database. So to do that, of course, we would go to the record song. Okay, so now we have imported our MIDI music, and it is stored in the space for the number 2 recording area, as we can see here. And so we're ready to work with this music and to edit it and change it and do all those things which we wish we could do with it. You'll notice that the music is over here on the right in the MIDI event. And what we'll want to do is work on some of these events so that we can then make this MIDI file useful for our Cynthia formats. If we recall it, the way that our Cynthia music works is we have an introduction, and then we have a verse and a chorus and an ending. Since the MIDI music we've imported hasn't been arranged in the way perhaps we would want, we'll want to break this thing up so that it can be useful for us. And what I want to be able to do with this is to be able to play multiple verses. The imported music we have is just one verse of the Navy hymn, but I'd like to be able to play 2 or 3 verses, especially since the music is set up for 3. And so I will want to make a few modifications to the MIDI music coming in, then we can break it up properly. First thing I'd like you to notice over here on the right is the very first MIDI event is a voice change. What this means is that no matter what instrument we would choose in Cynthia to play, this would automatically override it, and it would choose voice 0, which is the piano. And so I want to remove this event so that we can choose to have another instrument. It may or may not play well with the other instrument, but at least we'll have that choice. So what we do on these MIDI events is simply highlight it, and in this case here, I'll remove it. And so now what was event 2 is now event 1, and it's gone. What we also want to do is I want to be able to separate the introduction from the verse. Now, if we notice that the events are pedals off and pedals on until we get to event number 6, which is turning the notes on. And actually, event number 4, event number 3 begins turning on pedals. And so we would want to make this the beginning of our music. And so over here under the introduction, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the first event and end with the second event. I'm just going to overwrite it. I will not use the edit play to try to, isolate down these 2 keys or 2 events. It'd be too critical. So I'll just overwrite it. Then in the verse, I'll be able to go all the way from the very first one all the way down to the very first one. In this case will be the event number 3, and then all the way down to the bottom is event number 384. And okay, so what I want to do is I want to put a delay at the end of this music verse so that when multiple verses are played, that there can be a pause or a little bit of time in between them. And so to do this, I go all the way down to the very bottom, last note. We know its last event is a note off, and it's key number 30. And what we'll do is we will take and we will do an append, which will take that particular event that I just did and make a copy of it. And then what I'm going to do is change that added event so that it will provide more time. So I will give it a 2000. And I will do a replace, which will update that last event. So what this means is then, after it turns off the last note, it will then wait about 2 seconds, 2000 milliseconds, and turn off the last note again. And then the verse will be finished. And by doing it this way, then we will be able to have about 2-second delay in between verses if we do multiple verses. And so we're event number 385, and I've already typed in 385 here. So it will go from event number 3, which is turning the pedals on, all the way to the end. And so now if we do, let's do a test on this. We'll play 2 verses and see how it sounds. Here's the first verse that is playing. And so far, so good. Okay, finish the first. 2 seconds approximately. And that was that timing event that we put at the end. That caused that to give us a little bit of delay between verses. It should finish up okay. So we've actually removed an event that made piano the exclusive instrument. We've put in a small introduction and a pause in between delays, all by modifying these MIDI events in our screen. And so now we can go ahead and save this song and hit the song save. And I've already typed in ahead of time where I want to put this song. I'll be putting in the super. Actually, I'm going to put this song in the service book, and I'm calling it Navy Hymn, and I'll go ahead and save that there. I typed these names in ahead of time to save some time. Okay, saved the Navy Hymn in service book, yes, and here again the Navy Hymn, yes, and so now this song has been saved. And so let's go ahead and we'll test that song now. Excuse me, let's go ahead, this is finished, and we'll go ahead and exit out of here since we've finished the all the editing and changing that we need to do. And we will test it by actually playing that song. And I'll go to the service music volume and find the Navy Hymn somewhere down here. Here it is right here, Navy Hymn. And just for the fun of it, this will be the first time we want to hear what it sounds like on an organ. This was really played for a piano, but at least it should demonstrate a change in the instruments. Let's see how this looks. And we'll do 2 verses. Not too bad for an organ. And we'll see if it'll make a transition in a moment. Okay, there's that 2-second delay. Now, if that's a bit too long or we can go back and change that from a 2000 to a 1000 or to a 1200 or some other number. Takes a little bit of practice, but the capability is there to modify the actual MIDI events. And I hope that this has been instructional for you, and that you'll be blessed by it. And I thank you very much for listening.